Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the closing keynote of the 2013 Fall Q Conference. Thank you all for coming. I want to take a moment and introduce someone to you all that without her input and her involvement, we would not be sitting here having this Fall Q Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Barbara Nemko.
Thank you. I'm never sure whether to say welcome or so long, because I always get to do this at the end, but it is so fabulous to have so many people here. We never imagined. It was our dream to have the conference sold out 2 weeks before the date, but it happened. So 1,100 people really speaks to the fact that you are the best of the best, the people who recognize that technology is not a frill, it's not on the outside, it's not an extra, it is an integral part of education from now on. So thank you for that. We are blessed to have a state superintendent who fully believes in the power of technology. He sent his principal advisor, Craig Cheslog, here today, and Craig talked about the task force report on technology, which will be released in December, and says very clearly, no question about it, 1-to-1 for all kids. That's where we're going, that's where we have to get to, and nobody knows it better than you do. So I know my head is exploding from all the things and all the ideas I got today, and I'll make one true confession. I peeked at my horoscope this morning, and it said, be prepared for a steep learning curve. Maybe there is something to it after all. But what I would like to do is leave you with one thought, and that is, things have changed a great deal in the last couple of months. We have a new funding formula for California, the local control funding formula, and that has fundamentally changed a lot of things and had some unanticipated consequences, some of which are not so good. There no longer is funding for CTAP or SETS or CLearn at a time when we need it more than ever, because we are all using it more than ever, because our kids are going to be tested and they need to know how to use it, because we don't want you getting devices, not you, you know how to use everything. We don't want the other teachers who are coming along a little more slowly to be handed devices they don't know how to use. So you know the power of professional development, but there's no longer dedicated funding. So our job, when we leave here, because we are believers, is to make that known to the governor, to your assembly people, to your state senator. We need to find funding for professional development, for educational technology, period. So that's your job. I won't say talk amongst yourselves, because we already do that all the time. Talk amongst them in Sacramento. Let them know what we need, what we want, and let's make it happen. See you next year. Oh, I remember I have to introduce you.
I'm going to change it up.
Okay.
I just wish she had more passion. You know, so thank you, Barbara. It was Barbara's suggestion. Why don't you go check out the new high school they're building? So thank you again. We're really thrilled. Just a couple of program notes, and hopefully you all saw. Did you see the ports program out in the foyer? This is an amazing, unheard of program. Far few teachers know about this. You can connect with the California State Parks in your classroom using your iPhone or your iPad or an Android tablet. Any device that you pretty much have available, or a video conferencing system, you can bring a park ranger into your classroom and connect them up. So I realize that far too few teachers in California know about this, and it's wildly expensive. Oh wait, no, it's free! So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. We also have the last stash of the Diving to New Depths T-shirt for you if you're interested. We've got those available for sale in the lobby. Marisol is in there right now. And do not forget to give your evaluations and let us know how we can make the conference better for next year. This is at fall.q.org. Click on the sessions you attended, and there's a big fat eval button. Click that and let us know what you think. And there is another raffle at the end. But before I go too far, I want to introduce your president to you. Robert Craven, president of Q, has a couple of remarks. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody. I always have to follow Barbara or Hall Davidson. It is just terrible. I'm always in a bad spot on this one. Yeah, yes, exactly. But hey, thank you all for showing up here. How many of you had your curiosity sparked while you were here at the conference this weekend? Excellent. Well, I mean, just, I cannot believe how many wonderful sessions I got into. Everything. I was able to get some new information, take something back with me that's going to go to my district when I get back this week, continue my learning and the learning of the teachers in my district. So I'm very excited about that. So all of you that feel that way as well, let's give a big hand to all of the people that were here that spoke at the conference and gave us that great spark. So thank you to each of you that came out and spoke here. And you know, we have this other little conference that takes place in March. Once you have that curiosity now and you need to get it quenched a little bit later on in March, so come down to Palm Springs, have your curiosity quenched, and maybe find some more curiosity to take you back through the spring and into the summer months. But I'd like to also go ahead and talk about this little thing that we have started here to hold you over until the annual Q conference in March. And we have the new Q blog. It's up on the Q website at q.org. You can find the blog, and we have a wonderful blog editor. She is this amazing high school language arts teacher in Saddleback Valley Unified, Kate Petty over here. She is our blog insider. And so please read the blog, interact with her, get that spark of curiosity going across all the Q members. So before I turn it back over here and we bring Angela up, I just want to take another moment for all of us to thank our wonderful, you're wonderful, the staff that works for us so hard. We have a bunch of people on the Q staff. Mike is the executive director, and then there's others scattered around here. Any staff in here? No, stand up. They're all outside. Danny's in the back. Julie's up here, and the rest are outside. But thank you guys for the hard work you put in getting this conference together and doing everything else for us. I'd also like to recognize all the volunteers. This is a volunteer organization, and this conference would not happen without the multitude of you in the audience and that were at the sessions putting in your hard time and volunteering to help us. So thank you very much as well. And then last, I want to thank, I think, some of the 8 most important people right now to me as board president, and that is the 8 members of my board. So would you all please stand up? I know 7 of you are in the audience, hopefully are still here, but please stand up. Give them a big hand. These 7 people give so much of themselves, of their own time, of their family's time, of their work's time in some cases. In some cases, their work won't let them give time, and so they have to give even more of their own time. So thank each of you for the time you put in, the energy, the information you bring to this organization to help all of us. And I encourage all of you in the room to run or support your local Q board and look to support the larger board as well for the organization. So thank you very much for a wonderful 2 days here. I look forward to seeing everybody at annual conference and back here next year.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Isn't he a snappy dresser, though? Thank you, Robert. So yes, absolutely. Think about who you could nominate to run for the Q Board of Directors. The deadline to submit those nominations, whether it be from an affiliate with 1 letter or from 5 current Q members, is December 19th. And also, while you're thinking about those visionaries, think about the heroes around you. We have a thriving awards program. The deadline to submit those award nominations is December 12th. You can even nominate yourself. There are amazing people out there doing amazing things, and we want to honor and celebrate them. I'm really thrilled to be able to introduce you to this keynote speaker. We've been talking to her for a little while, trying to figure out when can we get her out to Palm Springs or Napa, and we're just thrilled to be able to provide some time for her to speak to you today. She's an award-winning author, speaker, producer. She's the president and founder of Choose. Well, see, now here I have my notes ready to go. Choose to Matter, and she's been inspiring others with her passionate pursuit of literacy, learning, and global communication. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to give you Angela Maiers.
Right here. Wow, am I happy to be here. Ramsey nailed it yesterday, didn't he? This is the best time in the world, in the history of humankind, to be an educator, to be a human being. I, every day, am in awe, or in our family, what we call Olivia mode. This is my 4-year-old niece who every day pursues awesome. and celebrates awe. Her mouth is perpetually in this state. And we forget in the hustle and bustle to sit and to notice and to cherish everything that we have and get to do, not just because of technology, but because we have access to each other. You are in the presence of genius. So turn to someone next to you, tell them they matter, and tell them thank you for everything they've done, not just over this day and yesterday, but for being here in general. I stand here, you stand here today, not only an inspired and excited, but a proud educator. For 25 years, this work for me is a get to do. No matter how hectic, no matter how tiring, no matter how much some days I say, oh, I don't know if I can do this today, and then I remind myself that we get to do this. And because of technology and how it is emerging, the line between what was impossible for us to do, what we wish to do but were unable to do, shrinks exponentially every second we stand here. And that's a really, really exciting place to be. And because of that, because of you, because of these technologies, every day I see educators that are doing things and innovating what would have been a year ago, even a month ago, even a week ago, what others would have said, that is impossible. You are unable to do that. My first read of the day is Kathy Cassidy's first grade blog, and I'm proud to say that I'm not even close to as smart as a first grader. And every day, these first graders not only make me smarter, but they make the world smarter. I'm passionate about working with and in the presence of educators like Colette Costanelli and my beautiful friend Karen McMillan, who's sitting right there in the front row going, I can't believe you did this to me. I can't believe you did this to me. But you are the teacher I dream of working with, and that I pray that my own children get a chance to be in the presence of. Karen works with middle school students, you know them, the ones that are sometimes lost, unsure of themselves, sometimes even disengaged. She helps them find themselves. She helps them understand that they are leaders and they are learners that they just yet haven't understood. Leaders like my friend George Kiros and Patrick Larkin, who didn't just say, we can do this. We're going to start a blog. We're going to work through this entire universe of possibilities. We expect you to join us on the journey. And even if it was kicking and screaming, George and Patrick have brought over 100 school leaders, school principals, every day to share out loud what it is the journey is like. So they can cast a vision to their teachers and to their students and their community about what this world, enabled by amazing technologies and supported by amazing people, can offer us and offer the world. Leaders like my friends Shel Terrell and Tom Whitby, who have turned the idea of PD upside down and on its head, and have opened up the Teachers Lounge and have made PD a 24-hour day, 7-day a week, by gathering tens of thousands of educators every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on Twitter for a live discussion on what matters most in education, driven by our questions and fueled by our solutions, not the world's. Education Chatter, #EdChat, gives us hope, gives us support, and gives us the ability to know that we are absolutely never alone. And organizations like Q, who have now committed to not leaving any teacher without a beverage, with Coffee Q and Brew Q and whatever Q, they have also committed to not letting any educator be without a community that loves them, that sees them, that honors them, that respects them. And I am proud to be here and to be a part of this community today. This is such a get to do. And because of leaders and teachers and organizations, we have paved the way to what really takes my breath away and what really makes me jump out of bed in the morning, what kids are doing. Like Nick, who was devastated when his reading buddy didn't come, because you know she needs to hear him read his book much more than he needs to read his book. And he was so distraught that she would miss his story. And she had a hip replacement in the hospital. This was a grandma-grandpa program, and they came to school every week, and they did reading buddies with the students. And a year ago, possibly 2 years ago, this would not have been possible. So from the hospital room, with her hip up in some sort of contraption, she did not have to miss out on what Nick worked on all week. And reading buddies went on as normal in a passion-driven, passion-enabled classroom. Students like Miss Sanders' high school class, who just happened to be watching her as she was reading her feed about what she learns and what she thinks. And I just happened to be lucky enough that I was in her feed that morning, and she happened on an article that I published on Huffington Post about the power of networks. And so while she was intrigued with the idea, she thought, well, my kids would be too. So they tweeted and they shared and they joined a conversation with industry leaders and pushed forward with questions that we didn't even consider. So we started asking questions in the world and workforce, and I said, oh my gosh, I've got to get insight from incredible thinkers. And so we Skyped in the next day. Students like these students in kindergarten, who did not think it was fair that I could only come to one of their classrooms. So they were thinking about, would you mind if we live streamed when I did get to come? So that way, every class can participate in the lesson. In a school district of tens of thousands, how long would it take for me or for you or for any teacher to team teach, to co-teach, to be able to share what it is that's possible? Every teacher in this school got to do that because we live streamed. We not only live streamed it, we started tweeting. And we got so much excitement from these kids' parents and from the teachers and from the community that the leader of the district came and said, wow, our parents are really excited about what we're doing and what we're talking about and what our kids are talking about. Do you mind answering a few questions after school? I said, absolutely. Maybe 20 parents would show up, 30 parents would show up, but not when every kid in the school was doing the lesson, and every kid in the school was going home talking about what they did, and every classroom was tweeting and following the hashtag. 578 parents showed up that evening, along with community members and industry leaders that were also following the hashtag on a couple days. Impossible? Absolutely unable to get parent involvement, to get classroom instruction, modeling, and live demonstration without a PD budget? Not today, not now, and not with teachers who understand the real power of technology. And students like Ian, who has watched us from afar, who's followed teachers and leaders on Twitter since he was in 6th grade. And he was invited in 7th grade to come to an ed camp. How many of you are familiar with ed camps? A place where teachers meet, and he loved the idea. Wouldn't it be great if kids did that? If kids went and presented, and kids voted with their feet, and kids got to gather together? And so about 2 weeks ago, not like any other conference or apparently your grandmother's conference, Ian pulled off a 400 invitation, or they had to close the registration because over 400 students came from all over the state and did exactly that and held the first ever student-run, student-led ed camp. It was extraordinary. Live streaming, and had grown-ups come in to listen, to learn from these amazing learners. It takes your breath away. Earlier this year, a few months ago, I got to share with one of the students in Choose to Matter, which we'll share in a little bit, that is changing lives and changing the world beyond her classroom, beyond her classmates, and in the world. And we got to present her with the most prestigious education award, the BAMI Award, and share not only what it meant for her contribution to be recognized and valued, but what it means for every other 8th grader or 7th grader or 5th grader that had a teacher that listened and valued when they said, I think I can change the world. I think I can do something amazing with this technology. And the teacher said, okay, okay. The framework that I share with you today is really important. You know that not only technology is right, you know how to use it right. Q is a testament to that. I want to add another layer. I want to add a layer of intimate conversations with students. Conversations that you've had, conversations that have been formed by your work, what you've shared, what I've witnessed. But conversations where we could say at scale. So we thought 500,000 kids is a pretty good data stream, a pretty good database to say, if we took and listened really deeply, what it is that kids most wanted to do, and more importantly, most wanted to feel when they use technology in school with you, because that is what they want. They don't want you to be out of the picture. They want you to help enable one thing for them to matter. And so I've spent the last 2 years breaking down with them and with you what that means. And they've been really articulate to remind us that it is not the technology that motivates them. It is not the technology that motivates them. Because this probably is the single most important slide in the whole deck to walk away with, I just want you to turn and share your thoughts about that. How are we going to remember that? How are we going to remind ourselves when we start saying, I can't keep up with this, and I can't do this because we don't have this app, or we don't have this device, or how are we going to commit to reminding ourselves that that isn't where our superpower lies? Whether we have this device, or we adopt this, or we load this, or unload that. Our superpower lies in our ability to enable our students to matter. So just turn for a second and share with someone next to you how you're going to take this message back to your students, to your community, to your leaders. And then I'll share their suggestions. Don't be mad at me. The right framework takes their voices, takes their suggestions, takes this data, and makes it actionable. Actionable in small decisions, actionable in large decisions, like should we adopt blank? Should we spend this amount on blank? If it doesn't abide by, honor, facilitate, amplify, and extend these needs, the things that truly motivate kids not only to be the learners and leaders, but to be the citizens that we wish them to be. And whether they say this out loud to you, know that they are thinking this. They are looking at you and saying what they say to the world. Notice me. One of the things that came up in the survey was in high school and middle school, the #1 request to the question, what would make you run to school? What would give you the Olivia face? Was say my name. Say my name. Now think about why Twitter matters, why Facebook matters. How many times a day do you get to hear, you get to see your name? They're not addicted to technology. They're addicted to these needs. We can honor that. We can abide by that. So when I'm making a decision on whether I bring technology into this conversation and whether I use it or can use it to amplify my objectives of helping them matter in the way they deserve to matter, this is what guides me. Is the learning that we will experience more real, more impactful? Do I open up their perspectives, their hearts, their minds to a classroom, into a space that's bigger than who we are right now? Do I honor not only where I'm bringing them and where I believe they can be, but am I honoring who they are right now? Do I see their genius? Do I notice it? And do I use technology to amplify that and to share what I see, the brilliance that I get a front row seat in, with the world? And most importantly, do we take actions that will impact not only our learning, but the learning of others around us? And if I can't answer yes to at least one of those, then technology gets in the way. It is not a guarantee that if I have technology, that I will get to this. So if you're going to use a checklist, use this. If I want to amp up the learning, if I want to amp up the experience, change it by adding this dimension. Can I make it more global? Can I make it more real? Can I do something that would show them and tell them that I honor their contribution? Here's what that looks like. Real is game-changing. I don't simply mean making learning real, which is what we've always been told, but this is real time. Real learning in real time is unlike any other time in human history. When you look at that, I need kids to not see a data stream. I need them to see a life stream. This is the age of not information overwhelm. This is the age of possibility. The possibility to have access not only to content that is absolutely breaking at the second-by-second level, but the people that are making the contributions that change that space, that world, and potentially our lives. Managing and operating and living and learning in a time where literally lives change every second of the day is new. Ben Zander calls this the ability to dwell in possibilities is a new habitude. We have lived our lives in a world of limitations, where there were boundaries, where there were capacities of impossibility and capacities of inability. That is not their world. Their world is a world of infinite possibilities. And dreaming audaciously and learning that 5 seconds later, it actually can come true is overwhelming. So we need to give them practice at that. What is it like living and learning and managing your life in a time where every 60 seconds, what you have available to you to learn, to dream, to do, changes, grows exponentially? What does that feel like? What do you need to do? How do you need to act and behave? My imperative is that you bring back the most essential practice time of the day, which is show and tell. It is during show and tell that you build your identity, that you build community, and that you practice every habitude you have, because the objective of show and tell is remarkability. You can't be so remarkable that you share everything. I saw this, and I saw this, and I saw this, and I saw this, and I have this, and I have this, because that'll overwhelm people. So you learn balance. You learn to listen. You learn to serve. So every single day, in whatever classroom I have, including my global classroom, I spend 1 minute showing and telling. It starts like this. In the last 24 hours, this is what wowed me. I learned that the first ever tape of Anne Frank was released to the world. It is the first time the world has heard for 47 seconds her voice, not her words, but her voice. My response is, does that get an Olivia face? For me, it did. Science discovered the oldest living organism. It doesn't even have a kingdom. It is not even categorized. And they've invited us to name and label it with them. Wow. Wow, did you hear that? Wow. You should hear that every day. At the moment, this is really a wow, at the moment, NASA discovered something that in every science book in school right now defies. Because if you look up, even in a digital science book, unless you were following in real time, it will say with conviction and evidence that there is no water on Mars. But if you were operating and learning in real time, you would find out the moment NASA found out. This is a tweet. NASA just made an incredible discovery about water on Mars. So what should you be thinking right now? Did they really? Is this a hoax? How would I know? How would I validate that? Let me check that out. And in fact, you click on that, and there it is, not only image-wise, live streaming from the space station. Wow. Wow. This I'm waiting for. It's not quite a wow. The new phase of technology is holographic. It will be of you. It will not only be wearable, it won't even exist. It will just be projected. So you can customize Siri to any cute guy or possibly a cute girl, whatever you need. So this is my vision of Siri. I'm sorry, hubby. I'm sorry, Bob, but he's pretty hot. So this is Siri. And this I'm waiting for. It's available now for a mere $19,358. This is an entire cell phone tower that fits in the palm of your hand. And I'm sure it will come down in price, but I am on that as soon as it's available. So the point of show and tell is that look at what it did. It produced wows, and it produced whys, and it produced really, and how about that? And is that true? And where did you find that? And how can I get one? And then school starts. You don't spend the whole day in show and tell, but you build muscles, and you live the standard that we're working so hard to get. You analyze, you evaluate, you question, you wonder, you process, you filter, you decide what to keep and what to take away. And you practice that every day in real time. Imagine what 1 minute of real-time, real-world show and tell could do to your classroom. Turn and share with somebody next to you. Could you do this? Could you implement this? And beyond that, imagine what our students would get every day. A teacher and a leader standing up there saying and showing how they are wowed every day, and most importantly, what do they do about it? What do they do when every single second something amazing happens, is invented, occurs, and then they have a report due to their boss, or they have to go actually keep an appointment, and they can't stay on their computer all day. They have to manage their attention, they have to manage their time, and we're modeling how to do that every day. Turn and talk about the impact of that 1 minute a day in every classroom and every grade level. What kind of learners would we equip if we did that? Real time is a game changer. You were born to make an impact. Your students, at least 5-year-olds, will hold you accountable to that. They don't come to school to know stuff. They come to school to do stuff and to become the leaders and learners who can do it magnificently, who can do it remarkably. They believe it is their birthright to contribute. If our technologies are not impacting learning by asking kids to be and do remarkable things, then we should not be spending money, time, or energy trying to make them as such. Yay. Here's the indicator. Every interaction, we need to ask these questions. Am I doing old things in old ways? Even if there's a computer involved, even there's a tablet involved, this is a worksheet with questions at the end of the chapter. Don't do it. It wasn't good a long time ago, and it's not better now. Am I doing old things in new ways? This looks pretty impressive, doesn't it? Kids have tablets, kids have some whatever that is. There's probably a clicker over there and a screen over there and a giant whiteboard, and it looks really intriguing. But it's the same old stuff we've been doing for 50 years. Teacher deciding what content, which is preloaded on all those devices, teacher deciding to deliver that content, kids get to take notes on this or this. But there is no shift in interaction at all. And there's certainly no shift in expectation where kids are practicing those things we talked about. Making decisions, filtering, deciding what to keep out, what to keep in, what to prioritize, and what not to. There's exciting things that come out every day that allow us to do new things in new ways. One of my favorite apps and platforms is Evernote. And every day, not only do these new things allow us to do things we didn't have the capacity to do, what Evernote has the capacity to do is collect a digital picture of our students. You know those folders and those pictures that we sent home when we're on a refrigerator for approximately a week and a half, and then it was another one, and somewhere in the house, in some box underneath there, was the work of the genius in kindergarten, and first grade, and second grade. We can put an infinite capacity of pictures that would have gone and been noticed for a bit, and then somehow stuffed away, of pieces of writing, of a profile of the learner every day with every artifact. What I really love is that even within these new things, they're developing new ways to do that faster and bigger. So a few weeks ago, a month ago, Evernote launched recording. So now with QuickTime, any of those can be annotated with the voice of that learner. So I want you to fast forward 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when this young man is not in third grade, to reflect on how was that goal going? You know, that goal of drinking an entire gallon of milk without peeing? You know, that goal of eating an entire rack of ribs that is smothered and covered in bacon? Did you accomplish it? How was it? What was the training like? How is your bladder? And what happened at the doctor when you held in that pee for that long? Can you imagine, you know, blackmailing this kid when he's graduating from high school, probably doing something? That's a new thing that we want to do, that we get to do in a new way. And oh, by the way, this is all free. That's exciting. It's still not enough. We have to seek, we have to create, and we have to be deliberate about the ability to craft an experience that is epically, exponentially, extraordinarily different. Something that we absolutely, impossibly couldn't do without the technology. Because even as powerful as Evernote is, if we didn't have it, because it maybe cost $1 million or something, we could still do it. It would be cumbersome. We could put together a portfolio and buy a bunch of Rubbermaid tubs and put tape recorders in there, and we could do it. This is stuff we cannot do without technology. This is a great way to put it. I told you Kathy Cassidy's kids were really smart, but this is the criteria I try to hit at least once a day. What about once a week? At the very minimum, once a month. Imagine what that looks like. So earlier this year, we had the 44th anniversary of the landing on the moon, a pretty incredible event that I want kids to experience. We're beyond just getting it from a textbook. So we add dramatic differences to that experience when we add elements. The most dramatic element isn't going to NASA's site, which, by the way, is brilliant and pulls together primary resources that were unavailable to anyone that didn't work in NASA. I'm not talking about, here's some pictures of space. I'm talking about recordings. I'm talking about journals. I'm talking about personal artifacts from the men and the women that have explored space. I'm talking about things that are in the vault of NASA and you needed some sort of bodyguard to get at, are not only available to you, like the National Archives, but they're organized for you. NASA has organized, just on the moon study, almost 29,000 primary documents that are available to you to make learning more real. Still not that epic. It's epic when you ask kids, I wonder what it would have been like to be there. How would you like to talk to the guy who was there, live and in real time. Let's tweet them. So during this, NASA set up from both the astronauts circling in the Curiosity and the astronauts on the ground live Twitter feeds, live chats, forums on Facebook, on Google+, and you got to ask questions, interact, and hear what it was like from the guy who was there. And in this conversation, Buzz Aldrin shared something that no book would have, something that no record NASA would have. The moment they took the journey, he turned to Neil Armstrong, and this is what they whispered in each other's ears. Can you imagine? We have a 50-50 shot. We're going to die, or we're going to make history. We can stop this. We can turn back. What are we going to do? Can you imagine what that moment was like, to look in the eyes, to be there? I was able to do that because I was here. This was a Reddit strand. There's a community that has a very powerful forum that takes individuals that have done things that we cannot imagine, that we thought were impossible, and it asks us to ask them anything. So the series is called Ask Me Anything. The most powerful series on here was the one by our president. What is it like being the president of the United States? Ask me anything. Who can answer that? So what was it like in that space? Ask me anything from Buzz Aldrin. So this was from the response in there. And I loved what one of the community members said to the students that we brought to this forum. You are so lucky. You are so lucky that you are living and learning in this age. You get to know people from around the world. You get to share things. You simply don't have access to content. You have access to humanity. We have access to humanity. Is that not epic? Is that not dramatic? Is that not worthy of an Olivia face? Every single day. We become indispensable in kids' lives when we make learning dramatically, extraordinarily epic. And we can do that at the touch of a button. Global is a part of that epic experience. Understanding that you and our students are not simply learners in a classroom. Their classroom is global. They are learning with and from, and most importantly, for other people that they may never meet, but they will touch. And the moment that you understand that global is not a geolocation, and it is not a project that you do with Skype in the classroom, and I love Skype in the classroom. It is a mindset. It is an understanding and a deep, deep commitment to recognizing that the smartest person in the room is the room. And I would add one more caveat to David Weinberger's incredible observation. That only is epic if every single person in the room is contributing fully. And what's beautiful about having a global classroom is you get to select, you get to invite, you get to beg people to come in your room. You get to surround yourself with the brightest, most diverse, most brilliant minds literally on the planet. And they become your living, breathing classroom. This is where I get really excited because I get to do more than Oprah. You know, when she's like, you get a car and you get a car and you, okay, so you get a network, you get a network, you get a network, you get a network, and it's even more powerful because there's no taxes on it and it's totally free. It is a room that I promise is not only going to lift you up, going to celebrate who you are, and going to welcome your contribution. It is a room that you get to self-select. So if it isn't the right combination, if it isn't the right room, if it isn't the right mix of people that do not let you down and always demand that you stand up and stand strong, then you get to do that too. Here's the giant auditorium. Connected Principals Chat is a room of connected leaders. There's a subgroup of superintendents or leaders that are leading a bigger charge than just simply one school. Ed Chat is the gigantic room for every educator. And this is the one link that you need from my beautiful friend in my global classroom, Jerry, otherwise known on the web as Cyberryman. There is over 350 invitations every week to a room filled with passionate educators, passionate learners, and passionate leaders that are exactly what you need. Whether you are a social studies teacher, or you're a second language teacher, or you're a technology integration specialist, or you teach blank with blank in blank. There is a room waiting for your contribution. And it is life-changing knowing that you get to go there and be a part of that community every week. Because what sets apart the rooms that I get to be in this global space from rooms sometimes that I've been in, not in this space, is that unequivocally, no matter what room I go in, passion is honored. And every genius is not only celebrated, it is demanded. If you hold back in one of these rooms, if you don't share, you'll be asked, you need to share that, you need to share that, you need to do this, we need this. The idea of we is embedded on the global web, on the social web. There isn't an I. And from that takes immense pressure off your shoulders. You don't have to be awesome. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to do it all, know it all, and stay up to 4 in the morning trying to put it all together. Because we have this. I can ask my room for anything, from moral support to emotional support to what do you got on the Common Core for 8th graders? Can you tell me that? So it's an important thing to pass on to our kids, that the web is passion-driven and people-inspired. It is enabled by passion-driven groups of people. And the rooms that are the most successful, the rooms that can take the most action, are the ones that are very, very articulate and very conscious about what passions matter. We need to get kids in rooms that they can connect with other passionate people, whether it is in this space, and I'm very excited to announce that now available is a space on the web for students 16 and under that can't go to the big room, called Your Sphere. It's your world, your voice, your sphere. So spheres are driven by passion. Students, as of today, and we're hoping the site just launched, so we're really hoping that it's fully there. But once your students have identified or want to explore their passion, whether it's sports or photography or helping dolphins, they can create or join a sphere. And they can work towards building a community, gathering a room of passion-driven lead learners and lead leaders, and they can work towards figuring out how to become the best that they can be. In addition to the passion spheres, or to your sphere, there will be a section when the room decides to take action. There will be a group of spheres that we call cause spheres, so that we can ask students to use their passion, to use their talent, to use their genius towards something that the world needs. Which leads us to, before I share that with you, I actually do want to share this. When we asked kids, when we're working with kids, and we asked them the role of their passion and what it played in their ability to do amazing work, to do extraordinary work, Mallory, the recipient of the BAMIs, said, you know, it wasn't until you gave me a place to share my passions out loud, that you gave me a place to showcase that passion does matter. I've been working for 4 years on this mission, and I've shared it with, I don't know if it's in there, I've shared it with, I think she said 14 teachers, and only 2 teachers took my passion seriously. So if I could give one teacher, if I could give any teacher any advice, it's great that you're sharing apps, and it's great that you're doing this, and it's great that you're learning, but please, please, please use technology to let us explore, honor, discover, and nurture our passions. I promise you it's not wasted time, and I promise you that the process of pursuing our passions will result in something extraordinary. So, that leads us to the last T on doing it really right. All of this leads up to our deepest calling. Mattering is not an event. It's not a project. It's not extracurricular. It is a DNA level need. The need to be noticed, the need to be valued, and the deepest need to know that there is something that I have, that we have, that somebody else in the world needs. And it's in that moment where you discover that interaction, where somebody stands in front of you and says, that is exactly what I needed today. I'm so glad you're here. I needed exactly that. That we cement our humanity. Choose to Matter is a community of change makers trying to tactically make those moments happen by showcasing what it is they have, what it is they do towards the needs that are greatest in the world. When I say this statement to a room full of kids, they don't believe me until I use technology to show them that I'm serious. When I show them access to the world, and most importantly, all the suffering and all the challenge that is happening in the world, and I say to them, the world needs your contribution, and I'm not kidding. You can choose to not give it, but you are choosing in that apathy, in that complacency, to not only hurt your learning, but you're hurting the room. And do you really want to do that? Because imagine if everyone in the room gave everything that they have without holding back, what we could accomplish together. And then I prove it. Out loud, we proclaim, we will do this. Even if we don't believe it, we will join this movement. We want to matter. We are going to do something. Bring it on. And for the last year and a half, hundreds of thousands, about 1,500 classrooms and about 6,000 teachers have been doing that and expecting that every week. We call it appropriately Genius Hour. So 1 hour a week, whatever your grade level, wherever you are, teachers, leaders, and learners meet on the web. I think it's Tuesday night, Genius Hour meets, I think 8 p.m. And they talk about and they showcase what it is they have that someone else in the world might need. We pull all that together. We form groups on various technologies, and that's what we're really excited about Your Sphere, because now we don't have to do it on a Google Doc and this doc. We have one community to do that in, and we put ourselves in a sphere based on our passions and based on our ability to contribute to that sphere, whether it's animal rights or disaster relief or homelessness or whatever it is. And this is the question together we pursue. What breaks your heart right now in real time in the world? Whether that's your world, whether that's the world that you live in your neighborhood, or it's the world. And I've had the privilege 3 times to be in an auditorium of hundreds of kids where when we worked on this together, the world stopped, literally stopped, and said, I had no idea we were capable of such greatness. Because they've never seen a group of individuals work so passionately, work so fearlessly, and work so seamlessly to make something different and to create a world that I wish I lived in now. And this is what it looks like. We follow and map what we call our heartbreaks, and we take the world's most complex problems and we break them down into a very simple, doable action. Well, we can't change world hunger, but we can do this. The result is breathtaking, where a group of 8-year-olds say, it is not okay in the world that other 8-year-olds do not have access to books. They do not have access to a library. So 2 recesses later, they came together, and I'll show you a picture because it's just beautiful. 2 recesses later, they raised enough money at their school to build a library in that country, the country that they had been Skyping with. And we chronicled the whole thing on our blog so that they actually got to see who they were interacting with. Mallory, who said, it is not okay that hundreds of lives are being lost to orphan children in the country of Uganda, and they are put in literally pens that no human being should be in. We can do something about that. And that's the most beautiful thing about mattering. Knowing that you don't have to change the world, but we can, we get to, and we must change the world. So I'm leaving you today with a call to action. Not something that you go back and do on Monday and then don't do for another 5 weeks or 6 weeks, or you do when all the other stuff is done. I'm going to say to you what I say to kids. Bravery isn't something you wait on. You do not have to waste a second waiting. There is no one coming to save the world or change the world. You are that hero. You are that person. The world needs your contribution. My job, your job, our job is to make it easy to take action, to make it easy to connect with other passionate communities, with other passionate people, so that together we can be smarter. And that's what Choose to Matter does. It pulls together the business community, the leadership community, the enterprise community, and it connects them with kids that are trying to change the world. So through simple hashtags, hashtag change the world, we can say, we're working on human rights, we're working on whatever, clean water, we're working on suicide prevention, whatever the heartbreak is that they're going to pursue, it is our mission at Choose to Matter to try to connect them with leaders, institutions, and organizations that are already doing that work, and they work together to co-solution the ideas and answers to the world's most complex problems. How much does this cost? How long does this take? So here's our data. We had probably the longest amount of time it took was about 42 hours before 17 social enterprise were launched, all the way to full brands from here's my idea, here's my community, here's my Facebook page, my Twitter account, here's my this, my that. That's how quick kids work. They don't wait. They're just waiting on the invitation. Most of the times that we get to do this with kids and large groups of kids and large groups in the community, we have one day. And it's messy and it's beautiful and it's extraordinary. And the hardest part of the day and the hardest part for any learner is this moment right here. The moment where you have to claim to the world what it is you're going to hold yourself and your community accountable for. We live stream these because there is something about proclaiming to the world what it is you're going to do and how amazing the world responds. So this is 500 7th graders tackling everything that you can imagine and heartbreak that I couldn't even imagine and being very, very brave. Not about will this get accomplished, but about what if this doesn't get accomplished? What if no one steps up? What if no one stands out? What it takes from us to accept this challenge is back to the first slide. It takes belief. It takes extraordinary trust in the genius of our kids. It takes time. This doesn't fit between 8 o'clock and 8:45, oh, change the world. So that's why our online communities are so important. That's why your Spear is so important. That's why Genius Hour is so important. It links you with a community of change makers, and it links kids with a community of change makers. What's amazing about the world is that there is not an organization in the world that is not ready and willing to support our students and us in this journey. When the 7th graders were struggling about bravery, one of the groups that we're working with in Choose to Matter is a group of generals, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star generals, Medal of Honor winners, admirals, and brigadier generals. And when they reached out, and even more importantly, Skyped in to speak to the kids and said, in so many words, there's just one thing the world needs you to be. And I'm saying this to you. There's one thing the world needs you to be. Your kids need you to be. I need you to be. And that is brave. It is the only rule that we operate under and on and Choose to Matter, and it is the rule that is sweeping classrooms and epically transforming the learners and leaders in that classroom. Because I'm not always good at explaining what that means in concrete terms. Bravery is a big, complex thing. I went to the most genius learners I know, which are 5-year-olds, and I said, could you please help me? What does bravery look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Because if we're going to ask people to be brave, we should explain it really well. Will you help me do that? And this is what they came up with. So your challenge is this: to know and love yourself, to know that you, not technology, that you matter, and to help kids recognize the same, to know how to be in control of what it is that you are going to accomplish so that we can do that better. And most importantly, to believe in yourself and to believe in one another. When we talk with the kids after this change-making experience and we ask them what was different, you've done projects, you've done all these things before, you've done amazing things with technology, what makes being a part of Choose to Matter different? And unequivocally, the changing point, the turning point for them was to really get that the world believes in us, that there is somebody else in the world that without conviction looks at us and says, we need your contribution. Because in school and at school, most of the time, kids' contributions are not recognized as valuable. So, from my friend John Michel, I share the words that he shared with students. If you're worried about what it is that you need to do to help kids in this world of possibilities, if you doubt your power, if you withhold what it is that you need and can do in kids' lives, be brave. It is your duty to do this. It is an honor and a privilege to do the kind of service that we do, changing lives and changing the world. We are here to help you. The room is really big and our arms are wide open. So please accept this mission. Choose to matter. Share it with your students. Join this and help us change the world together. Thank you so, so, so much. Did I go over time?
Thank you, Angela.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Did I go over time?
Thank you so much. And you know what it reminds me of is that we need to be brave. I think that we're entering into a brand new space where the work that we do, we used to describe as educational technology, and I'm finding more and more that the work that we do is education. We don't need to qualify it. It used to be, there was a time when for technology to come up in conversation in a high-level meeting at a school or a district, there had to be someone with technology in their job title, right? The tech coordinator, the tech director had to be in the room for them to go, oh, hey, have you thought about using this? Or could we do it this way? And we were those geniuses. We were the ones bringing those ideas. That has spread. Everyone is bringing up those ideas. Everyone with every kind of job title is bringing them up. And so it changes the work that we're expected to do. So thank you for that wonderful challenge and that wonderful mission.